Hi, so today is more of an explainer because most trading software actually loses money the moment you deploy it because developers treat it more like an app instead of an actual trading system. And your brilliant algorithm means nothing if you have a system that crashes the moment you have a market swing or something like that. And institutional investors lose millions by preventable engineering mistakes. So stay tuned to learn how to prevent that. Okay, and the first point is that you need to use real-time live data, of course. It kind of makes sense. However, the thing is that you cannot use REST APIs to get your market data. By the moment you get your data with REST APIs, it's already outdated. So you need to use either WebSockets or the FIX protocol, which is more of a deep tech sort of protocol. So it has a steeper learning curve than WebSockets. However, it does give you a lot of different options. It's kind of a bit more powerful. And this will cost you, like a WebSocket, for example, data subscription will cost you a few hundred or a low number of $1,000. However, I can recommend Polygon.io. I'm not sponsored by them, unfortunately, but they do offer very good prices on their subscriptions. Okay, number 2. Maybe you've heard of Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So your trading bot at some point will crash. And the question is, what do you do in that case? So what you need to absolutely avoid ever doing is storing data about open orders or positions in memory. You need to store it in a database. The best option, in my opinion, is Postgres with ACID transactions. And that just gives you the opportunity that if your system crashes, to basically recover that information and be up to date again with what was happening before the crash. So just imagine if your system crashes and you have, for example, $50,000 in open positions, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to start up the system again, or it starts itself up automatically. And then you need a current state of what happened before the crash in order to, for example, close all positions or just go back to trading. Okay, now we get to number 3, which is about rate limits and APIs. So if you ever run into API rate limits, what is a good idea is to have an exponential back-off strategy, which means that every time there's a rate limit, you sort of back off in an exponential fashion. So the time that you wait basically until you do the next request increases exponentially as you get errors. And it's always a good idea, this is a new point, but it's always a good idea to have a separate API key or separate API keys for the data and then for the orders. And that can also prevent rate limiting. And you should always keep an eye on this. So it's a good idea to monitor rate limiting if it happens, why it happens, and whether you could prevent it. Okay, now comes number 4. There should be a safety net. So what is a good idea is to pull the current positions and orders from the broker, let's say every 30 seconds or maybe every minute, something like that. And then you have small tolerances and you compare what you get from the broker with what you have stored internally. But if there's a big discrepancy, you need to decide what to do. Maybe you could, for example, stop all trading because that's a big problem. If what actually happened is different from what your system thought happened or should happen. And yeah, just deal with the option or the possibility of there being a discrepancy between your broker and what you think happened. Okay, number 5. Here are some of the most essential order types. So this is basically orders that get you in or out of the market so you can trade. The 3, I would say, most crucial ones are market orders, limit orders, and stop orders. And market orders give you worse prices. So basically, you just say, okay, I want to get into the market. And obviously, the broker will try to get you a good price, but it may mean that you get a worse price compared to had you used a limit order. Because a limit order basically means I want this price, and when it gets hit, you're more likely to get that. However, the risk with that is that it may not get executed. So maybe you're just sitting there waiting for your order to get executed, and the market is close to it, but it doesn't get executed, or it even moves away from that. And then stop orders are for example, risk management or other setups. And there can, of course, be different uses for these kind of different orders, but I would say the normal usage is that you use limit orders for market entry, stop orders for risk management, and then market orders if you have to, for example, exit the market in a sort of emergency. So, for example, if the current market the current market price is at $100, then you could have a limit order at $101, and then you might get filled at that price, and then you have a position in the market, and then you have a stop order at $95, for example, and if the market hits $95, you basically liquidate it, so to speak. You get kicked out of the market, but you don't lose that much because it would basically be a stop loss order. Okay, number 6, and this is a big one. You want a kill switch to basically, this is the emergency button, okay, your panic button, the button you maybe have under your desk, the red button, okay, no security guards are gonna come in, or maybe they will, I don't know about your situation, but basically what you want with the kill switch is that you, even if your trading bot or software is lagging, glitching, has crashed, is completely terminated, anything like that, you can just do something to basically cancel all orders and exit all positions out of all markets. And basically that just prevents, if the market is, or any number of markets is moving against you, it just prevents massive losses. And it's a really good idea to test this every now and then, maybe once a month or something like that, just to make sure that your solution for a kill switch still works. Okay, and this is also a pretty big one, but it's also just kind of necessary to develop the whole system and become profitable, which is logging, because you want very fine-grained logging to see what's going on, and also so you leave a trail, sort of, for example, for regulatory purposes and things like that. And what makes sense is that you have logs for basically everything. For if you get filled, if your order gets rejected, for market data, for any system events, basically log everything and have it be stored in such a way that you cannot lose it, because this is very valuable data. Okay, and that was basically it. Just 2 more points that are very crucial, not the main points, but keep in mind, very crucial, that risk management is not optional. You need to have a risk management strategy, and you need to be very good with the implementation of that. You cannot have anything go wrong with risk management, and markets don't behave like backtests, okay? So if you have a great backtest, that's really cool, but first do some paper trading, and then only deploy a bit of capital to make sure that the backtest wasn't a fluke, but it was actually how the strategy will perform in real life as well. Because backtests don't guarantee anything, and that is scientific trading. And that was it. I hope I was able to inform you. Check out AutoTradeLab at autotradelab.com, especially if you're an institutional investor and I would like to chat with you. And otherwise, subscribe, hit the like button, smash the bell, and comment down below what you think are also crucial points. And thank you for watching.